The former New Zealand player turned Black Sticks coach has been in Belgium, pulling off history for their national men's team. His mission now, help New Zealand create some of their own. Michelle Prendeville has more.
You ready?
Oh.
He looks like any other dad playing with his kids on the beach, but Shane McLeod is a star in Europe, transforming hockey in Belgium. He wants to do the same here in New Zealand.
Trying to share my story about how a little boy from Hamilton goes and ends up Olympic champion.
McLeod actually played and coached the Black Sticks, but it's with the Red Lions where he's seen results. In 2018, leading them to first-time world champions. 2019, another first, Euro hockey victors. At the Tokyo Olympics, you can probably guess it.
Belgium are the 2020 gold medalists.
At the end of it, when you look back, you go, whoa, did we really do all that?
That sort of success in just 6 years, phenomenal.
My auntie was a lover of the game, and we used to spend a lot of time together. And it was kind of my time with her was going down to Inniscommon, and she used to volunteer there. And one of my first memories was actually marking out the fields. So it used to be played on grass, and we'd go down with this weed killing machine, and we'd spray the lines and so on. And sometimes I was allowed to do that. She was the manager of the New Zealand women's team at the time, but also did a bit of coaching at the Waikato region. And I would go away to K-Cup and those type of tournaments and just follow around with the group. I'd have my hockey stick on the sideline mucking around, but never really played a game until I was 11. But when I did play, I was able to play to a pretty good level because of all that exposure. So she really gave me the love for the game. I had a couple of school teachers that took an interest in hockey. One was Roger Callis. I probably learnt a lot from him around the organisation stuff, and also he would always ask what we thought about how we were playing and stuff like that. So I quite liked his approach. And the other coach that I had was more at a rep level was Sid Polglaze, and he also, you know, would always ask what do you think we should do and stuff like that. I learned a lot because you have to think about the game when you're asked your opinion and so on, and so that worked well for me. It was always in my planning to teach. It's a role where you have to be close enough to the pupil that you understand what they're going through, but far enough away that you can help them just over those next few years. I loved it. I really enjoyed going to school, and it felt like I was sharing the day with 30 friends. The thing was, my 30 friends were all under 4 foot, and age 7, 8 or 9, you know, so really good fun. Hockey started to shape the directions or the decisions that I took in life. And so when I was finishing off Teachers College, I thought, look, I'm going to go down to Canterbury. I had a hope that I would break into the Canterbury team straight away, and I thought everything would be rosy, but it was tough. I had a crack at getting in, and I ended up playing Canterbury B and so on, and that was a good thing to learn. You know, I thought my path up until that point in time had been pretty easy, and it wasn't until you have a little bit of a setback that you take a step back and I asked myself, do I really want to do this? And the clear answer was yes. And so the next move that I made was to North Harbour. It was still at the day where you didn't really have a professional coach taking you aside. And so very quickly I took on those type of roles, and I would talk with others in the team, what do you think about how we're pressing and so on. So in a way, my early schooling was done through the people that I was surrounded with. And so when I finally made the step across from playing into coaching, it was incredibly natural. It just was just the next step. I didn't have a long international career, so I played maybe 20 games, and you always think, oh look, this is the pinnacle of what you want to do as a player, was to do that, and I never felt that. I didn't feel that that I was fully appreciated when I played for New Zealand. I often felt as if I was being tested or not quite good enough, and when I look back, I now understand why that was. And part of it was, you know, you need to be motivated and driven, and for that to occur, you really need an environment that's supportive and brings you on. I invest a lot in my players now because I think that's such an important aspect. Is why do you want to do this? You know, as a player, what turns you on about playing international hockey and putting yourself up for that reward or critique? You know, and there needs to be something that drives you pretty hard. So I think I learned that as a player. And there was one comment that the coach said to me that I still remember, like, because you wait for that phone call to be selected or not selected, and it was for quite a big tournament, and the phone rang, and the coach on the end of the phone said, look, we think that you like the idea of playing for New Zealand more than what it takes to play for New Zealand, and that crushed me at the time, but I did get it. You know, I think that you have to be able to invest fully in those type of things, and I felt probably that I was, but maybe it wasn't enough at the time, and that kind of drove me a bit into the coaching field a bit. Like I still love the concept of playing, but now I really enjoy making others play better and making sure that I don't have a phone call where I have to say that to someone. Because I was a young coach and I wanted to do it well, I really invested in the players and what do you think? Can we do this? And we came up with a design that was specific for Holland and very collaborative and so forth. And we played Holland and we beat Holland. And so that gave me a bit of confidence, and it also gave New Zealand hockey a bit of confidence because there was good feedback from the players about how I had gone about my role. So they asked me to continue, and so I continued. To qualify for Beijing was quite an event in itself. We played against Argentina at North Harbour. We won in a golden goal. It was just an explosion of feelings from everyone and people rushing the field and so on. So that was quite a lift to even go there. And then when we were there, we played pretty well. We got 7 seconds away from drawing with Spain, and if we had drawn with Spain, we would have played in the semi-final, which at that point in time was incredible. And so Spain scored in the last 7 seconds, and so it kind of crushed us a little bit. But when I look back at the tournament, it was quite a good experience in that we gave ourselves a chance against some of the top nations. In comparison with that, London was probably the darkest coaching moment that I've had, because I had moved away from what I had found successful when I first started with the team. When I was leading into London, the performance or the concept that we had to get a result kind of put me in what I now would describe as a grip. So you're just so worried about the result of the game that you lose sight of what can give you that result and the process along the way. And when I reflected back on it, rather than talking with the people and the players and being a collaborative effort, I I just channeled my energy into my computer and ended up just trying to study and study and study the opposition. And so there became a disconnect with myself and the players. Out of that darkest moment for me probably came the brightest light, because yeah, I don't do that anymore. And if I see a coach doing that, it's easy to recognise and try and put them right as well, because that's not the way to win things. It's also not the way to enjoy things, because you end up putting yourself on an island. Yeah, so that was my biggest learning there. When I took over the team, it was kind of, they were looking for some inspiration and doing things a little bit different. We took a lot of the coaching off field, so we knew that they had the talent on the field, and we just wanted to work on the team aspect and the culture aspect. And I think having grown up with a team like the All Blacks and understanding the values and the concept of leaving a legacy and those type of things, we started to go down that track, and we got traction with the players very quickly. They attached onto those. It was an interesting process to kind of hold a mirror up to each other and so on, and get their thoughts on where they thought they were at and what they thought they were lacking. And it kind of posed two problems. One is, or two directions. One was, do we have a look at the things that they feel they're not doing well and then try and address those weaknesses? Or the second way was to have a look at what they were doing well and see if we can turn those strengths into superpowers. And we went in that direction. And because we took a real positive aspect and tried to grow that, a lot of the language that we did was in and around empowering them and getting them to build up a belief that they could beat those top four nations. In coaching terms, going to an Olympics with only 10 months preparation is an incredible challenge. It's a fantastic project. We were able to do something that was a bit unique. We were able to show a game that everyone thought that we played and so on, and then build another game in behind. And so while everyone was kind of playing leapfrog with this, we were able to get up into a new realm of a style of play. And so when the Olympics came, no one knew, and so it was too late, you know. And we started hammering teams early in the tournament and got all the way through to the final by a simple strategy of having a plan B that was a pretty good plan B. We did enough things right, but one of the things that I reflected on afterwards was that we kind of took the players on a mental journey for part of that tournament. The quarter-final was the game in the past that Belgium had always failed with, and so we invested a lot of time in recreating that game and having the readiness for them to win that quarter-final game. And as a coaching staff, I felt that we had walked them right to there. We'd done enough, and there was an overflow into the next game, but we didn't even know what it was like to play in that final game, and we didn't prepare them mentally for that. Again, if you're able to look from the back at everything you've done, for me that was one of the gifts that we were presented, that we didn't win that. Because I think if we had won that, we possibly wouldn't have gone on to achieve the next things that we did achieve. But there were so many lessons that were packaged up in that loss on that day that we were able to grab. This was the first team that had won a world title ever. So it's a team that's starting to write some history for being first and things like that. But we started to talk about the responsibility that comes with that. And that's when we started to develop the role models and what are their obligations, you know, to be in that position of being #1 in the world. What does that entail? You know, it's not a taking situation. It then turns into the category of giving. One of the nice things about winning the World Cup in 2018 is you get an opportunity where the logo is, that your federation put a little star above it that mentions that you're a world champion. And so everyone that was in the group that won that has literally left the shirt in a better place for the next person to pick up and try and take on. And the guys loved that. You know, they loved that that idea that something's going to live beyond their playing career, and it became quite quite an emotional connection with being part of that group, and also the idea of bringing people into the group and moulding them into something that is better than we were, you know, and yeah, they really grabbed that. And so now when you see a new player coming into the organisation, they just pick them up and they role model, these are how you behave, this is what you do. And so it becomes, from a coaching staff's perspective, very easy to bring new players into the environment, because the environment helps that shift, you know, and yeah, it's an important part of that continued success. Going into Tokyo, we were at an interesting stage with the public around Belgium and also the media. Often the questioning from the media would be, look, you've won the Euros, you've won the World Cup, you're ranked #1 in the world, you must be going for gold. And you can only deflect that for a certain period of time, and we had to kind of go with it. Belgium is a bit like New Zealand, it's pretty humble, you know, as a nation. And so it was quite a big thing for Belgians to state that, and so they got quite a good following from people in the business world and in other sports teams that, wow, this is a team that just put it out there, you know, they put their ambitions raw, naked for everyone to see, and so they quite liked that. For me, I thought it was risky, but we pulled it off. Tokyo was a very strange environment without the spectators, and in some ways there was a purity about the sport, you know, like, yeah, it's nice to play in front of big crowds, but when you play a game and it's just you and the opposition, yeah, there is something special about that. One of my final briefing to the players was I asked them to close their eyes and to bring into the stadium someone that had the biggest impact into their hockey, and so they had to kind of walk them in their picture where they were seated, and when we went out to play, they just acknowledged, just look up where they were and things like that, and then bring in the next layer of people, and so, yeah, we tried to use the imagery of turning it into a home stadium, and you can't do that if it's already packed. So yeah, so we tried to make the best of the situation. Going into the final, there were a few things colliding. One was just the enormity of playing an Olympic final, you know, and we'd done it the Olympics before, and we'd failed. We'd only won silver, lost gold. But this time felt different. It felt as if we were more ready for the game. The hardest thing that collided with it, however, was that it was going to be my last game, and it's a weird feeling, because it's not about me at all. But when it's starting to come to an end, you start to think of all those fantastic moments. And so, yeah, I did have some difficult times in those last couple of days, just yeah, behind closed doors. I would think, I'm going to really miss these guys, you know. And you form such a bond, and you have such a shared vision, and such a belief in what you're doing, that it's impossible just to walk completely away from that.
Van Asch has done it, and this time it won't be denied. For the first time in their history, Belgium are crowned the Olympic champions. and the mastermind of it all, Shane McLeod.
It's just monumental what he's done in the last 4 years, particularly in the momentum and the respect that Belgium have gained through the way that they've played, and the chance for the coach and the goalkeeper, the hero, 2 heroes for Belgium. What better than this?
Oh, she was just so happy. When you hear someone is proud of you, that's one of the biggest things, I think. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is the relationships that we've built up with the team and the characters that we've helped grow. I think that's probably the thing that I've been most proud of, you know, and the winning stuff, it's always nice, but it's not the biggest thing. I'm more proud of how our players conduct themselves.
Sometimes we say a good coach can change a player, but a great coach can change a life. I think sometimes we have the misconception about a great leader that he has to be top down, he has to show power and strength all the time. And Shane actually made us, or at least made me see that a true leader can be quite the opposite. Can be very vulnerable, can be actually, instead of always showing the way, trying to actually invest in the people around him.
I want to thank you because you make me realize how proud I am to be Belgian, and to be proud of what I represent, to be proud of what I do on the pitch, because it's quite easy for you. If I show you this one, the jersey of the All Blacks, of course, you are all proud of them, and I want to make it happen as well in Belgium. And I want to make people proud about this one. I'm really proud of my jersey. I don't know when it's gonna be the last time I will wear it, so that's why I give it 100% when I have it on.
Obviously, he always had a good idea about what he wanted, but he made sure that it was the plan of everybody around him. So he really empowered the team, gave responsibility, and that created a lot of trust. And that circle of trust was one of the key factors for our group.
You are a big part of our journey. You have learned everything. I think I will teach my kids the same way you teach me to become a better person, but also a better player.
All by all, he made an amazing impact on the group, which also resulted in some goals. But I think the impact was much broader, and yeah, we are forever grateful.
It's not about how many championships or titles you have won, but it's about how many lives you have impacted and influenced. And I think, yeah, you change our lives, and you changed my life, and I want to thank you for that. And I will always remember to share the love all around the globe.
I wrote something in a book that was produced after the Olympic Games, a whole lot of photos, and one of the things that I said was I'm really going to miss watching them play, and I hope that my boy or girl grows up to be a Red Lion, even if they don't play hockey, you know, and that kind of captures everything. I just love how they are as people, you know, and I think that we've had a role to play in that.